you are in your late 20s and you're scared that because you haven't picked up a book that you'll never get into reading, but you love the idea of it, I want to tell you exactly what led me to falling in love with books in my 30s, almost out of nowhere. This is my story.
But the children love the books.
If I had a time machine, I could show you day by day exactly when this happened. But since I am now recalling from memory and my estimates of kind of when things got invented and when things happened, I'm gonna do the best that I can. When I was 8 years old, I watched the Harry Potter movies for the first time. I had no idea reading books about these stories was even an option. I had no access to that, and it wasn't even my movies. I would watch the Harry Potter movies at my friend's house. It was my godfather and my godmother's kids. They had the DVDs, all of them. These stories stayed with me. Again, at this time, I'm 8 years old and I have no idea what a book is. Like, I do, but I have it connected to like school and really tedious work, and I don't enjoy reading. I don't like books. Okay. Now fast forward, I am now in 8th grade. I have to be around maybe 13, 14 years old, maybe. I graduated 2014. That's important for context, for time context. So once I started going to 8th grade, my English was getting better. For those who don't know, my first language is Spanish, and I am now proficient, I think. But at the time, I would see all these kids reading after a test and teachers not giving them a hard time. Phones were not really like, I don't want to say they weren't cool, but they weren't touchscreen yet. Like, the concept of touchscreen didn't come out until when I was moving into 8th grade. Yeah, so it had to be around between 2008 and 2010. Around that time, whenever the iPod Touch came out, everyone started using their iPods, and then later on the upgrade of the iPod with the camera came in, and a lot of kids kind of got swayed away from reading. I remember there was a shift because it was almost that moment where I was about to pick a book, and it was the Harry Potter books, but they seemed like classics to me. They looked challenging. The language was too strong for me, I think, at the time. This was over 10 years ago, so I've improved very much since then. But the books were in English, and I was just getting better with my English. So then I got an iPod as a gift from my parents, and I was really like grateful. But also, at the same time, I sort of forgot everything about books. I just knew that one day I wanted to make it a goal to get into reading. The only thing that I could do was almost like fall in love and romanticize the idea of reading. So, like I said, in 8th grade, there was these book fairs, and I'm gonna say it wrong probably, but scholastic, I don't know. One of the big book publishing companies would come to school and they gave the kids deals when I was in 8th grade. I remember it clearly because my parents would sometimes give me $20 every week or every 2 weeks, depending on their budget. They really cared about me at the time. Like, I didn't really get new things like new clothes or like that, but I would go through the thrift shops and things like that, and I would buy things that I thought were cute. And one of those things, I remember, like I said, I don't know what came over me. I think it was just like romanticizing the idea, really wanting to, like, almost forcing myself, like making it a goal. Like, I want to get into reading, even though I find it extremely boring. And at the time, I didn't also, like, I knew it was good for me to start reading books in English for enjoyment reasons, to improve, but I didn't know the science behind it, neither did I care. So yeah, I was too young to like really care. I was invested in other things like Happy Tree Friends and Michelle Phan on YouTube. Like I had no interest. But I remember in one of these book fairs from all these big book publishing companies that come to the schools. I had $20 because my parents knew that they were coming through, and I was like very excited because I had my little booklet and I kept looking at books that looked interesting. And one of those things, it was like a package. It was a 5 book collection of Percy Jackson. And I think it was something, I was reading the back of it, or like the little descriptions that they give you. And the kid was 12 years old. I was like maybe 13, 14 years old. We were really close in age. So I thought, wow, that sounds so cool. And then maybe one day I can actually manage and finish all these books. So I got it and I started reading. And I kid you not, I finished that series and I read it again. I read it twice by the end of my 8th year, my 8th grade. Then guess what? For 10 years, I did not touch a single book for enjoyment reasons. It was mainly for I did have a little bit of a path with like self-improvement books that were forced onto me, or like I had to because of my anxiety and everything that was going on with me and still is. So I was trying to help myself and learn about my brain, and that's when the whole brain thing started, how I understood like reading is good for you. But I did not enjoy it. It was forced upon me, just like in school. Didn't care. Okay. Now, fast forward to 2025. This is last year. It's 2026 right now. Fast forward to 2025. 2 huge things were happening that are important for this little spark to reunite again. I went to the same school, middle school, and the first year of high school. And then I finished high school somewhere else. I had to go through my belongings because that house was no more, right? Was gonna be no more. So my teen year childhood home was gonna be empty, and I needed to go through my items. And I found a lot of cool things. I realized I collected books, which I didn't know. I guess it was like me wanting to get into reading, and I completely forgot about it. I didn't touch a single one, but I did find my Percy Jackson series. This whole time, this whole gap of like 10 plus years, 11 years at this point, I am still romanticizing the idea of getting into reading. I still care, but I have no interest. Still no interest. I have no interest in getting into it. I find it boring. I keep falling asleep. It keeps feeling like a chore, and that is not the feeling that I wanted. That is not the feeling that I want. So I was like, okay, something needs to click. Like, I know what it does for you. Usually what motivates me in life is like learning the science behind it. I'm very science driven. I'm very long-term thinking of like, okay, this is gonna help me because it's good for anti-dementia, and like just like I work out my body, I can work out my brain, and it's good with memory, which I'm lacking sometimes, and like my vocab, like my language. I'm like, I care about language. I care about languages. I want to learn French. So I was like, okay, cool. It'll help me. Nothing. No interest. Don't care. So then once I cleared out my things, like I said, I've been watching, by this time, this whole gap, I've been watching YouTube bookish content, like force feeding myself, seeing books over and over again pop up, things that I'm interested in. Kind of, they sound cool, like people are hyping them up. And books like, for example, Tomorrow, which is really well loved all around, and the cover is beautiful. So I'm excited about the idea, but I still don't love reading yet. And then I'm clearing my things. I'm moving into van life. I'm getting, at the same time that my parents are moving, by the way, I'm also moving into a van moment. So I had to get rid of all of my things, most of the things. And I don't know why we didn't think to get a storage unit, or we didn't think it was worth it, or maybe something was happening where either we just couldn't do it or we couldn't afford it. I don't know, okay? Something was happening. Decision after decision, we just said, let's just keep the important things. I said, okay, bet. We got rid of 90% of our things, except my books. I don't know why. My stubbornness and my willingness to like push things to the limit was like, I'll get rid of all my other things, my TV, my sewing machine, my washing machine. I don't care, but I'm gonna keep my books. I know, insane, okay? So I kept my books. Trust me, sometimes I go with my gut. It makes no sense to me, and I just feel it, and I felt it. I was like, I'm keeping these things, and I'm giving away these other things to people that we love, and that I can possibly get back. For example, my sewing machine is with one of my I guess you would say cousin-in-law. I don't know what she is to me, but I love her. And she has a lot of my things, a lot of my stuff. So I'm like, okay, I trust her. She's responsible. It's fine. And she said I could keep it. I just need to bring it, to this new place. Anyways, before I get sidetracked. So what happens is one day, I was like, okay, you know what? I remember loving this series. I'm going to read it again. And I started reading the series all over again. I read the Percy Jackson series twice again. I don't know why twice. I guess I was just afraid of losing that spark again. Like, it came back. I just didn't know what to pick up next. In the month of January, all of this happened really quick, by the way. Like, towards the end of January, I went to Barnes & Noble's religiously, almost like every other day. And I would always see this book tomorrow, just sitting there, and the cover just got me, and the reviews as well. So then I would go there, I would go to Barnes and slowly read it. And I finished reading. I remember I was picking up the large print that was there. And I finished reading that book. And this happened at the end of January of 2025. It wasn't until June, okay, of 2025 that I decided to pick up a second book, which was Dark Matter. And it was almost like a miracle. It was almost like a miracle when I picked Dark Matter, because I finished it in June. And it was my first time that I felt like, oh, this is a 5-star read. This is even better of a feeling that I had reading the Percy Jackson books, especially as an adult. I was like, this is what people feel. This is why people read. Something clicked in my brain. It was the wanting, it was the consuming the content, it was the decade-long battle of like trying to love reading. And so if you are watching this, I want to tell you that you are this much closer. You are this close, okay, to falling in love with reading. Trust me. Trust yourself. Trust yourself. Because now I've read, I don't know how many, I'm like closing into 20 probably. Like, some of the books that I read are EPUBs. And they're, for example, the Hunger Games trilogy that I just finished today, by the way. I just finished that today in preparation for the next 2 books that came out, which I'm reading next month, but whatever. What was I saying? That one on my reader counts as 1 book because it comes like that, but it's 3. So that's what I mean. That's what I mean by I know it's more than 20 books. Easily. Which I never thought I would say in my life. It took me so long to pick a second book from after I finished tomorrow because I liked the experience, but I had indecision, and I didn't want to lose that thing, that like wanting to read. And then after I read Dark Matter, I never looked back. I was like, okay, I may read some bad books, some books that are out of my element, some books that I may find boring, but I'm not gonna give up. And I'm glad that I didn't, because now in 2026, in January, I made a video where it's my TBR, my goal for this year. 2 books. I made it really simple for me. 2 books a month, and I thought that was going to be a challenge. I was worried about this month of March not being able to finish the whole trilogy on time. I finished 2 of the books before the month even started. I'm like, the ways that reading is challenging me as a person, the way that reading calms my anxiety, the way that it makes me feel, the abundance that it makes me feel also, and like the people that like reading are polite. Most of them have manners, have the same type of like care for the world that I feel like I do, and I feel like I can trust them to not be surface level and to care about bigger things than what they are sort of imprinted or coached in their life, in their schools, but by their parents, by their community to care about. I feel like they most likely go out of themselves to care about other things bigger than themselves and to see other people as one of their own, no matter what they look like. And I think that's what I am, and I've always felt alone in that. Not all the time. Like, I know people, obviously people have good things, people that I know have great things, and they have clues that tell me like, okay, I'm friends with you for that reason, because at some level you do care. But they still have a lot of prejudice, they still have a lot of like bias, they still have a lot of like moments where they kind of become one with the pack and their morals get messed up and they join the pack even though it's wrong, and they would never act that way if they were alone. And that to me makes me lose trust and makes me think twice about the people that I surround myself with, and also makes me question myself. It makes me question, like, are my standards too high? Is this impossible? Like, should I quit on finding genuine friendship? Should I just understand that maybe there's no reason for me to be so, I don't know, wanting to be so polite with the world around me, trying to care? Like, should I give up? And then reading has made me realize that the people in it are like I am, and they probably once felt that way, and they care, and they're nice, and I like that. It makes me feel hopeful, especially when I read the things that they write about, the authors themselves. I see myself in it. I feel normal, and I think that's a feeling that I wish anybody could have. I don't know what else to tell you. I feel like, I know I don't look at the camera very much because I don't know, it's just something that it's not a skill that I have yet, but I'm trying to acquire it like a Pokemon, okay? It's just, I think being in the flow of what I'm trying to say and concentrating on it and suppressing the fact that I need to look at the camera in order to connect. I think me getting my words across is more important right now to me in order for me to keep going. If I have to narrow it down, I guess, because I do have notes. I wrote a lot of notes and I had to narrow it down to like a little bit. But if I had to like compress it, basically, I made like a little pyramid. So on the bottom part, it started with my anxiety, okay? These are the notes that I wrote. Anxiety. My very busy mind has always been its own boss, but the world around me was getting extremely chaotic. Scrolling wasn't doing it for me. It wasn't doing me any favors, and neither was my already established hobbies like drawing. As much as I like drawing and it once provided a safe space for me to deal with my anxiety, I think it was the thoughts that were drowning me. I needed something to combat that, and like books is the equivalent of thoughts, organized thoughts. And something about it, like the stories, like reading things that I genuinely enjoy, not just like self-help, like it's cool and all, but sometimes you need fictional stories, like, and they're still just as meaningful, if not more, I think, because you're actually engaged with the content sometimes. Then it came the exercise part, the part that it goes a little bit higher than that on my priority list. So it says, I know from just growing up in a world that reads, going to school, seeing kids that you don't need to chase around in order for them to read. You don't have to force them to read. I know that what the benefits are that this hobby brings. Then on enjoyment, on my little thing on the top that came after understanding the exercise part, I wrote, they say joy is contagious, and the people who seem to enjoy reading share the same passions, priorities, and even a consideration for manners and growth, like I've always felt alone carrying alone. Then on the part on top of it, I put discovery, the thing that came after my enjoyment. And I wrote, I learned on my own, so I discovered tropes and what that word even means. Different authors, genres, storylines. I am excited to read. My patience and child wonder are making a comeback, and my anxiety often sleeps. Then on the path part, this is my little tower that I made. I'll probably put it on here. It says, I see opportunity in friendships, community, even adventures, maybe cozy places that are good to read, and even job opportunities and careers. And then the little tower ends with me. It says, reading has safely brought me back to the closest thing I know, which is myself. And with that, I think I concluded my notes. I just hope that if you are still wanting to get into reading and you're just like, it's just not happening. From someone who's been reading for a very long time, who can tell you, like, for example, Lexy, Newlynova, I know she has a very beautifully crafted video on how to get you out of a rut. Even I think it applies as a new reader or someone who's never really read before. I implore you, I beg you to go watch that. If you for whatever reason stumbled upon my video first, please go watch that. I think that can probably help you more. My thing is not so much of like how to really, but it's like a what happened, how did we get here. It's more like a story of like 10 plus years compressed into little moments that just spark something. So maybe this can be the spark of something new for you. I do think it's possible. I think you just have to fight through. And especially like, even though like I said self-help books, I kind of forced myself to read them and it was hard. I would have to start over and over again. Like I would quit throughout and then start over and over again and reread the first 10, 20, 30 pages over and over again over the course of years. That is still kind of like teaching yourself that you want to do this. Like you understand there's a reason why you want to learn how to read, for enjoyment reasons, not because you have to, but enjoyment reasons, or something you maybe you feel that you'll get out of it, maybe your future self. I don't know if you believe in any of that. I do. And listen to that voice. Like, don't give up. Okay, I don't think I could have found this feeling, this specific help, especially with my anxiety, because my brain needed a little bit of help, and I didn't know in which more, like what possible way I could look for that help that I haven't already. But something brought me back over and over through reading. Maybe it was like the people that are reading, I like who they are, something about it. I was like, you have something that I don't yet have, and I need it, and I just don't know how to get it. And the only thing that I can think of is the fact that you're reading books and it's making you happy, and I want to know what that's like. And that's how we ended up here. Such an accomplishment already, even for myself, going from reading absolutely nothing for multiple years for enjoyment reasons, just because I wanted to at all, to like now I want to go on like little side quests of like maybe like a physical book that I actually read, because I read from my e-reader most of the time. I have a little e-reader, it's somewhere over there charging. But I'm thinking like, okay, I recently bought I think it's called the Thursday Murder Club. by Richard Osman is back there. Maybe I'll start doing like little side quests that kind of go out of my already established TBR for 2026. We'll see. I couldn't be happier, and having to craft this video also makes me happy because maybe I can be a little bit of a part in your enjoyment and like your path in finding yourself. I think it's really cool to read and be a reader, and I'm in the community. And if any of the things that I said relate to you, perhaps that is what you need. That is what you need. You need to be part of the community and know what it's about. And that'll keep you motivated even more, I think. But yeah, that is all. My name is Hugh Clouds, and I'll see you later. Peace.